Good morning, Eddie.
Hello, you amazing friends. I am absolutely honoured to be here with Richard Thomas, digital mechanic. Richard Thomas, how are you, my friend?
I'm going very well, thanks, Eddie. Yes, coping with this sort of cold Melbourne winter, but yeah, spring is on the way.
I'm with you. Now, I deliberately picked a location to accentuate that. May I stand up and show you and our fans where I am right now?
Oh, yes, you gotta do that, Eddie. Yep, gotta do that.
So here we are. Do you recognise that little bridge behind me, Richard, and everyone?
Absolutely right. Yes, can't beat that sunshine either.
I know. The thing is right now in Sydney is that it's strangely right now sunny and beautiful, a bit windy, but I thought I got to do my live outside with awesome you, Richard.
Yeah. Well, too bad it wasn't on Saturday because we had absolutely perfect sunny weather, no wind even on Saturday. It was just absolutely beautiful. So that's how we know spring is on the way. You know, the daffodils blooming, all the blossoms coming on the pear trees and things like that. So yeah,
beautiful. And hello to Jose. Just gonna say we've got our fans coming in. We got Jose. If you've just come in, smash that like, sharing, comment. We love you, winners. Richard's awesome. Richard, tell us what have you been up to lately, my friends? What have been some of your big breakthroughs and everything?
Well, I've been up to quite a bit just recently. I have actually been expanding my sort of skills, if you like. Some of you may know that I've been, in the last year or so, been doing a bit of a side hustle, which has been going quite well, doing something that you wouldn't expect a digital marketer to be doing, which is Flatpack furniture assembly. So I think it's my background, having grown up on a farm, being a landscape architect. I've got the visual skills to be able to just look at instructions and go, yep, that's how it works. It's I don't sort of tend to work on the car at all, but I could sort of do the oil change and do a few other bits and pieces, replacing things if I had to. It's down to more time these days, I guess. But yeah, definitely got skills there in those respects. So yeah, last week actually, one of my Flatpack clients actually said, "Hey, my builder's dumped on me," because what he was doing was setting up his garage as a living quarters for one of his sons, and yeah, sort of said, "Can you lay my floating floor for me?" So I thought, okay, let's give it a go. So yeah. Now I'm one floating floor down.
So there you go. So you're a digital marketer, Flatpack specialist, and you now do floating floorboards. Is that right?
Can do floating floors. Yep. Happy to do any other floating floors that come along. So, yep.
Now, first thing I'm going to say is I was an engineer in the army, and even to this day, IKEA furniture makes me angry. So I commend your patience and mechanical thinking, Richard.
See, I love IKEA furniture. It's got, it's absolutely systematic. There's, I think people miss things in the instructions, but everything is there if you just look for it and just keep your eye out for it. So, yeah, it's, to me, IKEA is one of the better ones. But yeah, interesting viewpoint.
Oh, brilliant. What a big hello. We've got James, we've got Bernardo. If you just come in, smash that like, sharing, comment, say hello. And Rich, I want to talk to you about digital marketing. Tell us some of the top lessons you've learned about digital marketing lately. I want to know.
Well, I think one of the big things is just systematizing. So I'm actually in the middle of rolling out or sort of implementing some new systems. There's nothing sort of new about it. It's all centered around SMS marketing and using SMSs to attract new clients and get them onto your lists, your SMS list, and eventually your email list. But it's using sort of techniques around around offering things, discounts, or the VIP clubs in particular, which work for an amazing amount of businesses. They're all things that have been around for a little while, but the technology behind it now is at the point where we can just sort of roll out a system that just automatically just plug in a few bits and pieces, and then the system is there and just runs smoothly in the background for your business. So for example, if you're a restaurant, you can set up a VIP club for your restaurant, which you get your staff to to show the customers the card, say, hey, would you like to join our VIP club? And then once they're on it, well, there's a good offer there, and once they're on it, well, then they just get reminders to come in each week, and you can certainly increase your sales by easily, $5,000 to $10,000 a month, quite easily. So just by implementing a few easy things, and it's just, as I said, it's just a hands-off system. Once it's all set up, it just runs in smoothly in the background. I love those systematized things. So, but yeah, something that can be implemented across a whole range of businesses. Car repair, chiropractors, consultants, all, you name it. There's also, we can do it in all sorts of different ways, but it's the same back end that's driving it, using SMS. And then you can obviously tie in my favorite baby, which is chatbots as well on Messenger and Instagram. So yeah, so I suppose there's always new stuff out there. So you need to keep fresh and relevant, and implement what's new, to keep on top of the game.
Wow. That's funny you say SMS marketing. Two things come to mind. Near where I live, there's a cafe that has a VIP club. They've been, every time I buy hot chocolate for my daughter, they will ask my phone number and add me to the club. And I've been going there for a few months now, and not once have they actually reached out to me with any offers. So I find it fascinating that they're collecting all the information, but they're not leveraging it.
Yeah, and that's a lot of people do that. They collect information that don't follow up. They don't have the system in place, which implements it all easily for them. So yeah, sounds like I should go and talk to them.
Yeah, exactly. I was just thinking that. So, yeah. There's a referral for you right there.
So I love these systems and things that do all this stuff for you in the background. And I suppose the other thing I've learned too is, which I've been working on, is this just being able to increase in all of this. I like to sort of try and make the relationship sort of warm and personal. It's you can do this in a sort of very cold way, but I think ultimately the way you want to approach it is with a warm personal approach. And so one of the things also up on the table here is a website widget and a review testimonial collection sort of form that makes it all very personal. So you've probably yourself, video reviews are absolutely the best thing out there, because you can't fake a video review, can you? So if you've got someone leaving a video saying how great the business is, people are going to love that. So that's crazy stuff out there.
Oh, love it. Just a quick shout out to fans. We've got James Petroni. Lassie's doing great. Great to hear from you. We've got Sam Su from Indonesia. And we've got Jose from Brazil. And we've got Prani from Phuket. We've got the whole gamut here. So if you just come in, smash that like, sharing, comment. We've got everyone, Richard, haven't we?
Very international. Yeah. So.
Yeah. Now, I was going to ask you as well, Richard. Right? I was going to ask you, Richard, about chatbots. Tell us all about chatbots. I want to learn how do they work, and how can we use them, and how do you help people with chatbots, Richard?
Yeah, well, it's interesting, Eddie. The way when you mention chatbots, most people think of what happens on a website. When you go to a website and a little box pops up in the corner, or maybe click it and it pops up and just says, often it's not actually a chat bot. It's just a chat widget where you just leave your information, your email address and the message, and then somebody eventually gets back to you. But what I do with chatbots is really through primarily Facebook Messenger and Instagram, and they are designed to basically collect leads. So it's a lead generation tool for me. Obviously, they can do all the customer support thing on the website, that sort of kind of stuff too, but that's not my particular focus. For me, it's much more fun and interesting to use these for lead generation. So in particular, the ones on Instagram actually work through the built-in DM system, direct message system. So it just feels like to the end user that they're using direct messages, which is pretty cool. So it's like having a chat with your best buddy or on Instagram. It's just the same thing. So and it really overcomes a few of the obstacles on Instagram in particular that prevent people, make it more difficult to get people across to your other systems, to your email list. So one in particular is that you can't click on a URL that's in a description on a post. So you can't do that. So if you wanted people to go to a particular link from your post, you have to say, go to my bio, then hopefully the link is there, or they say there was a link in bio, so you can then go to a link tree, then click a link, and then eventually get to the website, and hopefully click through to where you're going if you haven't forgotten where you're going. So that's one issue. And instead, what you can do with the chatbot is say, hey, click, just leave us a comment below, and we'll send you the link. So somebody can just leave a comment on the post, and then they automatically get a DM message in a system, in a systemized conversation that follows up and says, hey, thanks for commenting. Here's the information you wanted. And that might be as simple as leave it at that. But you can also, in that same process, collect their name and potential email address or phone number, depending on what you're actually doing. So that just helps increase the value of doing things like running competitions on Instagram, because you're actually collecting people's details as they enter the competition, rather than just leaving a comment and then you get a winner, but everybody else is just sure you've increased engagement by people commenting, but you have no idea about who all those other people are that do comment. You haven't collected their details. So that's what it's all about, is essentially getting people into your list so they can then build a machine for marketing to them down the track.
So you're saying with chatbots, using Instagram as an example, you can get more followers, and of course you can get your followers onto your personal database to help monetize them. Is that sort of where you're going there? Exactly.
Yeah. So it helps to increase followers and engagement, but also not just do that, but implement off the Instagram system, because as we know, these are all platforms that are owned by other people, so that they play by their own rules. You can get kicked off at any time, and if you want to do things like run ads, obviously that costs money to run the ads. So if you can get people into your own list and just onto email and to your DMs, then you can send messages to them anytime you like for no cost at all. So,
wow.
Yeah.
It's funny you bring that up, because one thing, it's funny you say that. Like, one thing I'm into, I'm of course more of a LinkedIn guy, and on LinkedIn, whenever I run live webinars, I use Meetup. Meetup helps me capture email addresses, and I agree with you, because if you're not actually capturing people's email addresses, or at least have a means of doing it, you're really limiting your business growth, aren't you there, Richard?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, if you're not if you're letting those just leads float off, and that's what I like to say. I help people that can be doing stuff, but then they're often leaving stuff on the edges, which is not maximizing the value of what they're doing. So that's where I like to come and say, well, hey, if you do this and this and this, then you actually get more value out of what you're already doing, and increase your business from there. So yeah, definitely.
And just to be particular, so your chatbots will integrate with a website. You can integrate it with Instagram. How else can you integrate? What are other examples of using chatbots that people can benefit from?
Well, as I say, the platforms that I mainly use are basically Messenger and Instagram for the chatbots, but from there you can integrate the data that you collect with basically any other system that's out there. So if you want to sort of pull people across to your calendar to book book meetings and stuff, you can do that. You can push data into a spreadsheet, into a CRM. It's also the possibilities for automation are sort of endless, in terms of really just depends where you want to go with it. You tie into something like Zapier, then you can send data here, there, and everywhere. So you can send people to landing pages. You can do all sorts of things. So sign up for webinars, give them webinar reminders, all sorts of things. So yeah.
Wow. Now, I was going to ask you, but Bernardo asked us, what's your views about TickTock? Now, again, I've got certain views about TickTock, which I'm not going to say because they're not in the positive category. So I want to hold what I'm saying. Please, Richard Thomas, tell us what you think about TickTock. We'd love to hear it.
Well, it's interesting because I actually haven't been on TickTok I think I had it for a brief while to look at, sort of a year or two ago, and then I've sort of deleted it. Yeah. So I can't really say a whole lot about it. I hear all this stuff around me going on about TickTock and how great it is, and it sounds like from reliable, responsible people that I know that for certain things it can be great for getting exposure. Certainly, there's a lot of maybe rubbish on there, but I'll consider rubbish. But that's maybe just the younger generation compared to me. But yeah, it's certainly an interesting platform, very evolving. But the other thing is keep in mind that it is owned by the Chinese, so that all your information that you're putting on there is a lot more besides. They're getting these people are getting access to. So something to be considerate of. So yeah. But certainly, it seems to be for certain people, it is a very powerful way to go for marketing. So, I think particularly certain industries like obviously fashion and that kind of thing. So, yeah.
Wow, brilliant. Now, Richard, I want to ask you as well. What are some of the? And I'm not saying that you've done it personally or your clients, but what are some of the big mistakes you've seen people make on digital marketing? What are some of the biggest disasters, big mistakes, or even things that you just wouldn't do? Tell us your top crazy mistakes and weird stuff you've seen out there.
Top crazy mistakes. I think just having the basic sites up with a sort of homemade logo. It's so easy these days to sort of get, it doesn't really cost a whole lot to get a decent looking logo done. So there's basically no excuse now to have a decent looking website and a decent looking logo branding sort of to go with it. So although I still find businesses that have websites that are not mobile responsive, which like e-commerce websites even that are just not mobile responsive. It's again certain industries it seems to be, but I don't know what it is, but it's they're missing out on a whole part of the slice of the pie because the sites are essentially unusable on a mobile. So it's kind of weird, but it does happen.
Wow.
And I guess the other big one is maybe sites that don't have enough security on there, so they end up sort of being hacked or going down. It's happening all too regularly these days, and there are a lot of ways you can at least maybe not 100% prevent it, but you can sort of put them off to a certain extent. They go and find easier prey. That's often often enough to sort of avoid being hacked. Is if you're one of the harder ones, they'll go, this is too hard. We'll go find an easier one to start with. So, yeah, that's just a few of my big ones, and then people where there's just missing social links on their site, or even e-commerce where they don't have social share links. Being able for people to be able to share the products across to social, a bit ridiculous if you can't easily do that. So, yeah, there's a few of the big ones. It's sort of all sort of user interface kind of approaches. Yeah.
Brilliant. And Stephen Kaminsky, we love you, Stephen, says video is a way to go. Great interview. That's why we love you, Stephen. You've just come in, smash that like, share, and comment. And I'll just do a recap. Should I do a recap of where we are, Richard?
Absolutely. Show them that, there's a few more people around now. So
there we go. So we have a certain little bridge behind us that shall remain nameless. So there we go. The beautiful Sydney Harbour Bridge. And it's actually very windy but quite sunny. So I just had to do my life here. And just for our fans as well, there is the Sydney Opera House just behind me. Do you think this is a cool spot or what, Richard?
No, it's absolutely cool. And I'd love to be there myself, actually. Can't beat being there on a day like today.
Exactly. Now, I was going to ask you as well, Richard. I mean, love your tips, love your insights. This is more of a general question. And by the way, if you are watching, like, share, comment, everyone. The other thing I was going to ask you, what are some of the, now I know all clients are different, not asking for confidential details, but what are some of the common things you recommend for your clients? What are some mistakes you pick up? What are some great opportunities for everyone? Just your top three. Love to hear what you think.
I think it's where It's where they've essentially just got a very basic website and social presence up without really taking advantage and having a plan in place to to use the socials in a good way. Again, sort of doing things like having a VIP club and running competitions. Again, they're fantastic ways to to increase your reach and awareness and brand awareness, and also to build your customer base. So if mistakes is just having those absolute basics and nothing else there to fill the gaps. On socials, if you're only posting once a week, that's just nowhere near enough. Especially because people, that one post will only reach a certain, so to get to everybody, say you had a following of 5,000 on Facebook, for example, to get your post out to those 5,000 to see something, it's probably, if you're only posting once a week, it probably, every person on the list would maybe see one or two things a year off your page, something like that. I don't know, it's crazy, the distribution. There's so many other competing things going on with the algorithm. So yeah, you got to post regularly to get more seen. So don't be scared about reposting stuff that's you've already posted before. You could easily put a cycle in place of probably doing it once a month, the same content, and people wouldn't even notice that you posted the same thing that often. So yeah, and just I suppose not thinking about where just leaving that list building. For me, that's the biggest crime. Probably is leaving the list building to hope, to chance, and not just sort of being actively pursuing that avenue, because it is ultimately the most powerful thing to have. That is a list that you can send emails to and messages to, whichever channel it might be. Yeah.
Oh, brilliant. Richard, love where you're going. I just want to say this as well. If anyone wants to get into contact with you, how can they go about it? Awesome, Richard, because we love and highly recommend you.
Well, certainly come and see me out on LinkedIn, Digital Mechanic. You'll find me with that, or you can give me a buzz on 0412 014400. That's my phone, or just email me richard@stretchimagination.com.au. Either way will do. It's, I'd love to chat and talk. So yeah, hit me up and we'll happy to have a conversation.
Brilliant. Now, before you go, we've spoken a bit about digital, but I also know, interestingly, in the real world, as in with humans and not digital, albeit I love digital LinkedIn, you're actually quite a massive business networker. You've been doing a lot of business networking for years. Just before you go, I'd love to hear some of your thoughts just generally on business networking, more in the real world, because we've got a lot of people here who they're sick of Zoom, they're sick of online, they want to meet people face-to-face again post-pandemic. Here, I couldn't agree with it more. What are some of your I know you're a digital mechanic, but I know you're good at the real world too. Can you give us some real-world networking tips? I just love to hear your top thoughts on this one, being a master yourself.
Yes, definitely I've been loving getting back out into the real world for networking, and I think one thing is obviously just don't be scared talking to someone. Just go and say, if you see someone standing by themselves, just go and say hey, and introduce yourself. It's simple as that to get started, and ask what they do. It's not hard to actually get the conversation going. But again, just be big tip is just go and be you. Don't go in and try and sell. It's build the relationship first. It's all about building the relationship, and then stuff might come. So so I was actually at a coffee catch up last week at Waterman, and I got chatting to a guy, and we were talking about things, and I said, into sort of digital marketing, and he's actually he works as a chief sort of marketing lead for another company which is based in Singapore. So but he said, we were just chatting away, and at the end of it, he said, well, yeah, actually, I could probably actually learn a few things from you. It might be worth having a chat sometime. So you never know where things might lead. And that just came out sort of naturally out of the conversation. Like I wasn't pushing anything. It was, it was very interesting. If you are at a networking event and this is a big tip, is just be open to other people joining the conversation too. So just this comes from my B&I background, where we talk about open twos and open threes. So if you're standing face to face, directly chatting to somebody, like this, as if you're sort of almost in their face kind of thing, there's no room for somebody else to come in and join the conversation with the sides, because it feels like breaking in. But if you stand at two slightly angles talking to them, then there's room for a third person to come and jump in. Likewise, if you're in a group of three, just again open up a little bit so there's room at the edge for somebody else to come and join in the conversation if they feel like it. So there's some networking tips. Again, just be yourself, be open to where the conversation goes, and just enjoy it. Yeah, a few tips.
Brilliant. Love you, Richard. Richard, thank you so much, and thank you to all our fans. Like, share, comment, get in contact with Richard. Richard, just before we sign off, can we please get your closing thoughts, be it business, life, personal, digital or not? Just want to hear your closing thoughts and advice for our wonderful fans across the world who we love and adore.
I was actually just thinking about combining the real world, what you said about the real world. So how about combining the real world with the digital? So doing things when you are out networking. This is sort of where the technology has got us to now, is having things on your business card. Like actually, good example. Out of 2 or 3 of the latest networking things I've been to, I said, let's look up on LinkedIn, and I showed them the LinkedIn scan code to connect. They go, oh, what's that? Oh, so cool. So I've actually educated, I don't know, probably in the last 2 weeks, I've probably educated about 7 to 10 people about using the LinkedIn scan code, which is fabulous. But doing things like on your business card, having a QR code that leads to sort of an introductory something, not just to your website, but to something that introduces you and gets people onto your list. For example, in tomorrow's we've got a special visitors at BNI, and I've got a flyer done up, which again has got a QR code which takes people into a landing page where they can basically put their details into to get an experience what's like to be on an SMS marketing list. So again, it's using the offline and technology together, which you can do so easily these days to actually do those things like building a list. So yeah, I think about what the opportunities are for blending those traditional ways of doing things and the newer modern techno way of doing things, and there's all sorts of possibilities out there. So yes, just be open to what is possible and go do it. Just don't think about it, just go do it.
Oh, brilliant. Richard, thank you so much. Appreciate you, and to our fans across the world. Richard, have a great day. Everyone get in contact with Richard. Richard, thank you so much, my friend.
Whereas Eddie, it's great to chat. We'll talk to you again soon.